Mike Hosking, Leighton Smith, Kerry McIver and Mark Dye, Larry Williams, Marcus Lush. Great conversation start here. This is Newstalk ZB News.
It's 11 o'clock. I'm Frida Wiley. The government's wanting community organisations to get on board with its efforts to increase the amount of emergency housing places available around the country. Social Housing Minister Paula Bennett's calling on groups with expertise in the area to increase supply and also manage new government-funded facilities. She says with security of funding now in place, the government wants to increase the number of providers in the sector. Air New Zealand has reservations about planned reforms of the fire service and fire service levies. Currently, the airline is exempt from paying levies on its aircraft, but as new proposed laws are currently drafted, that's set to change, and the company wants the exemption retained. The company's government relations manager, Duncan Small, says the changes would have a large impact on the company, given the large capital value of its aircraft, which are insured for remote and unlikely events.
The effect of that in the context of this bill is that the fire service levy, if it was charged on our aircraft insurance, would be many times larger than the premiums we pay for that insurance.
If you still have a Samsung Galaxy Note 7, there's no time to waste. That from Consumer New Zealand following a worldwide recall of the popular cell phone. Chief Executive Sue Chetwin's urging consumers to go straight back to the retailer they bought it from.
You will be entitled to a refund or a replacement phone of an equivalent value.
Electricity distributor Delta is warning of electricity hazards around Queenstown. Power remains out to 1,800 addresses in Arrowtown, Dalefield, Lower Shotover and Lake Hayes areas. Delta says heavy and wet snowfall overnight brought trees down into contact with overhead power lines in the Aurora Energy network. It has cautioned customers to keep clear of fallen power lines or equipment and treat them as live at all times. WorkSafe has launched an investigation this morning into a serious incident at Mega Air Trampoline Park in Christchurch. It says it's been notified of 5 further incidents at the park this week and is now considering whether those will be investigated too. A woman whose brother was killed by a truck driven by David Connell more than 10 years ago has spoken out following his sentence for the death of another cyclist. Yesterday, Connell received 4 months community detention, 200 hours community work and fined thousands of dollars for killing Taiwanese tourist Meng Shei in 2014. In 2005, he was convicted of careless driving causing death after he struck Stephen Avery, who was cycling to work on the Kapiti coast. His sister Leslie Avery says for years people had accused her brother of being at fault.
The driver of the truck had actually gone into where the cyclist safety lane is and hit him. His helmet was stuck in the middle of the grille and he carried on down the road unaware that apparently he had hit him.
A man charged in relation to the fatal shooting of a South Auckland toddler has lost a bid for name suppression. His identity can be revealed next Wednesday. The man's charged with manslaughter after a 2-year-old girl was shot dead in the driveway of her family home in Mangere in June. Her name will also be able to be revealed next week. The man is also facing charges of unlawful possession of a pistol and possession of cannabis for supply. Stormy weather has led to an alluringly pretty but poisonous creature invading Northland beaches. The lion's mane jellyfish looks like a frilly pink discarded party dress, but beachgoers are being warned not to go poking around it, as it has poisonous tentacles that could still pack a punch. Several have washed up on the beaches around the Whangarei coast, varying in size from a large dinner plate to a 10-speed bicycle wheel. To Newstalk ZB Sport, Triathlon New Zealand High Performance Director Graham Moore has resigned. Ricky Swinell reports.
Moore's been in the role for the past 4 years, but there's been limited success for New Zealand's top athletes in that time. Moore says he recognises that performance and culture are not where they need to be, and it's time for someone else to take the reins. He's implemented a plan aimed at success at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. Triathlon New Zealand is also currently without a CEO following the departure of Craig Waugh.
All Whites defender Michael Boxall's imploring his side to lift again for the second friendly of their American trip. The side has earned plaudits from their performance in the 2-1 defeat to Mexico earlier in the week. Boxall says it was a strong performance, but they can go to another level against the United States this afternoon.
We were good the other night, but we need to go just that little bit better. It's a good opportunity for us to show New Zealand more of what we're about and get a result.
Kick-off is at 1 p.m. in Washington, D.C. Joe Hart's come to the rescue for England as they drew 0-0 away with Slovenia in a Football World Cup qualifier. The former Manchester City goalkeeper produced several top-notch saves and twice came off his line after Slovenians were played through. The draw keeps England top of Group F on 7 points, 2 clear of Lithuania and Slovenia. Slovakia revived their hopes thumping Scotland 3-0 in the same group. Football with Britannia Financial Services, the experts for UK pension transfers. Former Zimbabwe Test all-rounder Heath Streak has taken over as his country's new head coach. Streak succeeds interim coach Makaya Ntini, who replaced Australian Dav Watmore after he was sacked in June. Streak's first assignment will be a 2-match home test series against Sri Lanka, which begins at the end of this month. A Swiss court has rejected the appeal by 34 current and past Essendon players over their AFL doping bans. The appeal was the last option available to the players as they tried to clear their names. The failure of the appeal means that the AFL can proceed with a commission hearing that will decide whether Bombers captain Jobe Watson is stripped of his 2012 Brownlow medal. I'm Frida Wiley. It's 11:06 with Perpetual Guardian. Get a will and have your say. Newstalk ZB. Great conversation start here. Leighton Smith is next.
Sport with Radio Sport, New Zealand's only 24/7 sports station. Newstalk ZB weather. For more, visit newstalkzb.co.nz.
Short forecast for the entire country. Northland, Auckland, Coromandel Bay have plenty of Waikato, mostly cloudy with a few showers, clearing this afternoon. Gisborne to Waited Upper showers about the ranges and 1 or 2 spreading elsewhere, clearing later. Waitomo to Wellington, including the central high country, also Nelson and Marlborough, isolated showers becoming widespread for a time. Bulla, Westland and Fiordland, rain for a time with heavy falls south of the glaciers turning to showers. Canterbury, a period of rain clearing around midday, they're mostly fine. Otago and Southland, rain easing to scattered showers, mostly about the south coast. Showers becoming widespread through Southland and eastern Otago. Chatham Islands, cloudy with rain later.
The Leighton Smith Show.
Call 0800 80 1080.
Great conversations start here.
On Newstalk ZB.
11:07, 0800 80 1080. Email is leighton@newstalkzb.co.nz. And you can text on 9292. Now, before the news, I was talking to Diane, who worked in banking from memory in Australia and New Zealand. She's now retired, but she worked in banking and she was involved with employment. Diane, just there are things I want to discuss with you.